Alright, hello everybody, my name is Sajiki, and this is my AGDQ 2018 submission video for the Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos human campaign. So Warcraft 3 is a super fantastic game which is most likely well known for its huge multiplayer community that is still active up to date. It is one of the most fantastic and certainly most successful real-time strategy games of all time, and it has a great storyline that I think most people genuinely enjoyed playing through. And since Warcraft 3 is a rather short and really fun speedrun featuring some crazy tricks and techniques which are completely mind-boggling to a casual player, I honestly believe it could be a great addition to a GDQ schedule. But yeah, that's enough for the introduction. Let's jump right into the game. Alright, so apart from the super amazing Critter Explosion Easter egg put into the game by Blizzard, there's not much to do in the very first mission except go after some orcs and get rid of them. And that gives me just about enough time to talk about why the RTS genre in particular is so interesting for speedrunning, and also this run, of course. On contrary, for example, to turn-based strategy games in an RTS, the efficiency of your actions is only limited by how fast you can execute them. And that means you have to click really fast and a lot in order to do all the actions required to play something optimally. And that already is an awesome mechanic for a speedrun. On top of that, this campaign features a huge 30 minutes auto-scroller, which would turn this run into a slugfest. But fortunately, if your execution is really good, you can actually skip the entirety of that mission and turn the most boring mission of the run into the by far most exciting one. And so while we're watching some orcs being killed, I want to mention that clicking a lot really fast and talking a lot at the same time is pretty difficult. And I'm really glad to say that at this potential GDQ performance, there will be my good friend Covert Muffin helping me with commentary, which I'm very excited for. On a side note, if you want to watch a full live performance of me doing this game, I have done a run at the European Speedrunner Assembly 2017 in Sweden, and a link of that is included in the game submission. But now, let's get back to the game. So the first occasion where you will really see why this game is so cool to be executed fast is going to be in the second mission, which is where we're going right now. So in the second mission, your objective is to build up a tiny base of a few farms and a barracks, and then train a bunch of footmen, and also get rid of a certain Blade Master guy. And really, even from the very beginning, all of your actions have to be routed perfectly, because otherwise you're going to lose a lot of time if you don't execute them in the right order. And so this mission is routed down to the last piece of wood and lumber. Wood and gold, excuse me. So in Warcraft 3, there are these neutral monsters, which are called creeps. And you can kill them if you have enough firepower, and they will drop you gold, and sometimes they will drop you items too. These ones, however, they only drop me gold, and this is why I need to hurry up and do them in a specific pattern, so that I have enough gold once my barracks finishes to immediately start training a footman. Additionally, right here you can see I intentionally let one of my riflemen die, and that is because of the food mechanic in Warcraft 3. So at the top right now you can see how much population I can support, and how much I actually have worth of units. And whenever there's not enough space to create another unit, I have to wait or build additional farms. And so with all 4 riflemen, I would not be able to immediately start producing a footman, and that would waste a lot of time. So now that I have collected enough lumber, I can put all my peasants back into gold and start building my second farm, and that will finish right in time so that I will never be supply blocked and I can constantly produce footmen. And so up to now I have not talked about one of the special things about Warcraft 3, and that is hero units. You can see that I have Arthas currently as my level 2 paladin, and in Warcraft 3, contrary to pretty much all other RTS games, there are these special hero units, also shoutouts to Critter Explosions. And hero units can actually gain experience whenever you kill enemy units or neutral units, and they can advance in levels and then level up certain skills. They're also just generally more powerful than standard units, and they're the reason why Warcraft 3 is such a special mixture of kind of strategy games and also roleplay games. On top of that, they have an inventory, which you can see at the bottom right now, and I have finished my quest of getting the heart of that dragon, and the game will reward me with Fire Orb, which boosts my auto attack damage by 5. apart from items that permanently give you certain stats, such as mana or life or damage, there are also consumable items such as healing pots, mana pots, rolls, and whatever you can think of. And these will become actually really important later in the speedrun. So the only thing left to do in order to finish the mission is to kill the Blade Master right here, who violently murders this poor little villager lady, and we have to avenge her while we wait for our last footman to be trained. And in summary, these tiny macro optimizations can really make a huge difference of 10 to 15 seconds that you save or lose, depending on how well you execute it. Alright, so the next mission is probably the most boring one, and it comes the closest to auto-scroller, and that's why I'm going to fast forward a tiny bit. This mission will be a great time to read donations, and also to build up some hype and explanations for the craziness that's about to be happening in Mission 4 and 5. It's just our heroes with a bunch of friendly units running through villages, and there's not much we can do to speed this up other than spam clicking and getting rid of the dialogue. Maybe a few words about the story, which is really amazing, as I already mentioned, and many people will probably remember this from playing through the World of Warcraft universe. So this is the mission where there's the Cult of the Damned, led by Kel'Thuzad, trying to spread the plague of undeath in the land of Lordaeron, and you're trying to figure out how to stop it and so on. So this is probably a good time for talking about that and also donations. Alright, so right here I kill a particular skeleton guy and he drops a scroll of healing. And that is going to be very useful in the Mission 5 craziness, and we're just like trying to gear up with consumable items for these two really big fights that are going to happen. So my inventory at the end, or at the beginning rather, of Mission 5 is going to be full of consumable items so that I have the maximum chances of surviving these two fights. Alright, cool. As we wrap up this mission, that gives me time to introduce you to Mission 4, which features one of the craziest glitches this game has to offer. We're about to confront Kel'Thuzad and kill him. And in this mission, actually, the game kind of teases you multiple times with where you see Kel'Thuzad spreading the plague in a bunch of villages, but you have to chase him down until the very end, until you can confront him and finally kill him. But as it turns out, there's one really precise spot where you can use your mortar team's area of effect damage. So you have to set it up in a very precise way, which you're going to see me do right here. And there's actually 1 pixel the mortar team can stand on, and then there's pretty much 1 pixel where you can shoot on that will trigger Kel'Thuzad, and he will think, oh no, I got attacked. He'll run towards you, and you can finish him off before finishing the entire mission. At the same time, I have used Jaina and my other guys from the village to get rid of a bunch of rogues, and they dropped me another really useful item, which is the mana potion. And that's going to come in really handy in this mission, which is where all the craziness is about to happen. Alright, so as I've previously mentioned, this mission puts you on a timer of 30 minutes, as you can see in the top right, until Uther is coming back to save you. But we're not going to wait for him. That's really boring and takes too long. Instead of turtling up and gearing up for the undead attacks, we're just going to go ahead and attack them on our own. And that's going to be really difficult because we are not allowed to use all the units that the human race in this game usually has at its disposal. So the first thing we are going to do is break a house in the very beginning, which has a hidden item in it, which is going to be coming in very handy. At the same time, we're going to send our first couple peasants away to build an expansion, like an additional gold mine we can use to collect more gold, to build more units as fast as possible. And as you can see, all of this requires a lot of actions, because I'm managing 3 or 4 things at the same time. I don't want to use any units. I want to kill these murlocs here as fast as possible because they drop me gold, which allows me to maintain my worker production while power building up the expansion right here. And I'm also not allowed to waste a lot of time because I'm going to be constantly under attack by undead special forces, which are going to be running into my base and I have to defend, basically. And so everything right here that I do, the faster I execute it, the more time it's going to end up saving. So this is really where all the macro needs to be on point, and you need to manage multiple things like your resources, your units, your base, everything at the same time. So right here, I collect an item, another hidden item. So this guy gives me the Boots of Speed. So Boots of Speed already sound good for speedrunning, right? And they're going to be actually saving a lot of time in a later mission. So I'm going to keep these. Other than that, my inventory now is full of potions, as you can see. I'm going to drop one here for later use because I'm going to attack this base in about 10 minutes from there. And heroes in this game can actually only carry 6 items at a time. So I have to drop one there and pick it up later. Yeah, so the basic concept from here is to get 2 workshops running and 1 barracks as soon as possible, and then non-stop producing units out of them so that my army grows and grows and grows. So from the workshops, I'm going to be building mortar teams, and from the barracks, I'm going to be building riflemen. And for those, I've also researched the upgrades, or I will research the upgrades. Also right there, you see me upgrading a lumber upgrade, so that allows me to collect lumber faster. Also, on a side note, there's a glitch in this mission which instantly sets Arthas's level to level 6 once you pass level 4, because the game just never expects you to be that low leveled when you're in this mission. And you're going to see that in a few minutes from here, where I'm going to be instantly leveling up to level 6. So I move some of my army up here to the top left, while managing my base to build up workshops as fast as possible. Because there are a bunch of ogres, and the ogres give good gold and also a large healing potion, which is going to be very useful. Right there, I want to be keeping every footman alive, so I'm going to use Arthas's healing spells to keep them alive. Also, there's a trick where you can trap the Ogre Lord, which prevents him from escaping, which is known in the multiplayer community as a surround. Okay, so now my workshops are running. I'm researching upgrades for my riflemen and my mortar teams. And I have, as you may or may not have noticed, I have left 1 footman, you can see it on the minimap, at a specific point where there will be coming an undead attack heading from my top right base. And that is completely undefended. So I'm going to use this footman to lure these ghouls away into my towers at my main base. And this requires quite a few actions, because if my footman moves too far away from the ghouls, they're simply going to turn around and keep running. So I have to micro this footman constantly while building up my base. And also moving Arthas and my other units back. I've also not mentioned this game is in German. There's a good reason for this. I mean, apart from it being kind of funny and good for memes. This game actually has hotkeys set up in a certain way which are different for each language, because they're based on how a word is spelled. And since I've played this game a lot when I was young, and I'm a German boy, you know, I've learned this game in German, and it is pretty much impossible for me to play it anymore when my hotkeys are not set up the way they're set up in the German version. So before I attack, I need to do 2 things. I need to get my paladin, Arthas, to level 6, which is going to happen in a second, so I'm going to be looking for this next attack wave to collect the experience from them. And also, I want to use my mortar teams as soon as I have them to remove trees. I'm going to do that in a particular way so that it ends up leaving a tiny gap where I can fit in Arthas, so the undead units that are going to be attacking will be confused, running into the choke point, and my mortar teams will be dealing the maximum amount of damage. Because the computer in this mission cheats, meaning it has infinite resources, and it's going to be producing as soon as I start killing units all the time. I really, on the point where I'm hitting my attack, I never want to be stopping to attack, because that's going to allow them to build up a huge force again, and that's going to be probably the death of my run. Yeah, here I am, clearing the way in order to leave a specific choke point. And also another thing about the undead base, or actually both of them, both of the bases feature a strong hero unit, which is a Lich, and the one in this base, and the purple one, is a level 6 Lich, and the one in the orange base, excuse me, the green base, is a level 10 Lich. And these are really, really strong. So here I'm gonna take a safety save, for good reason, because the execution here is not on point. I will be overwhelmed really quickly, and my entire army will be dead. Also, I want to wait for a bunch more mortars here, just for safety. I like to attack once I have 6. Okay, there we go, and this is where the craziness starts, and where I'm really not allowed to make any mistakes anymore. So you can see I have Arthas on hold position, and I'm gonna be attacking the base over the trees with my mortar teams. This is area of effect damage. One of the towers falls, and you can see how it funnels all of the undead units into the choke point. Also, this is a spell the Lich can use, and it's called Frost Nova. It deals a huge amount of area of effect damage. But fortunately, I have the Paladin's Holy Light spell, and I also have Scrolls of Healing, which allows my units to be healed up again, so that they can take care of the units. And you can really see, if I would just be heading straight into the base and attacking them, that I would probably be chanceless, because their force is just way stronger than mine. So here, I have killed the entire army, and from here on I'm on a timer, because all the units are going to be rebuilt from the buildings you see there. And so what I really want to do is, my mortars should be attacking the producing buildings non-stop and getting rid of them as fast as possible, because the faster I do this, the less amount of unit are going to come out that I have to take care of with my remaining force of riflemen. Also, there is a very interesting mechanic in this game, which is the damage and armor system. So in Warcraft 3, every unit and building has a specific amount, like count of armor, and certain damage types deal bonus or a little less damage to certain armor types. For example, the riflemen deal bonus damage to ghouls and abominations, while the mortar teams deal bonus damage to buildings. And the riflemen don't really deal much damage to buildings. And that's why I constantly have to be microing all my army to attack the right things in order to not waste damage, because this is actually a huge amount of damage loss if I don't do that properly. Also here, I got ambushed by a random strolling around force of undead, but I was luckily able to take care of them pretty fast. So I've now cleared a good part of the base, but as you can see, the abominations are still rolling in from the slaughterhouses that I've left. And also there's an altar, and the altar actually reproduces the Lich, and if the Lich comes out a second time, it is very difficult to take care of him again, because you don't have as many items left. But I have managed to stabilize here pretty well, and I have a good amount of mortars and riflemen left, which is really, really important for the second fight, which is going to be way harder than this one. But I think at this point it becomes completely clear that this was never intended to be done in the first place. This base is heavily fortified by a lot of towers which deal a ton of damage. The computer is constantly rebuilding the lost buildings in your face, and also, of course, tries to reproduce their units, which they lose. And the fact that we're actually able to do this with some crisp execution just blows my mind. And it is really amazing, honestly, how you can save or lose so much time with these tiny decisions. So in this mission, you take a lot of tiny decisions. You make these micro optimizations to everything, and if just like one thing slips, this can snowball really, really quickly into minutes of time loss or gain. And that's why this is a really, really fun speedrun. Okay, so we're finally done with the first base, and this is where the craziness with the second base is going to start. So here you can see me picking up the second mana potion that I left earlier, and also clearing a bunch of trees just to make some space for my mortar so that I have better positioning with my army. Additionally, I'm getting rid of some of the peasants I have at home, because at this point I'm really not limited by my lumber count anymore, and I can use these 4 population that would be freed up by killing the peasants better with some military units. And this is also a good point to start talking about exactly what the skills of a paladin are. So right here you can see I have 2 skills leveled up. One is Divine Shield, which I'm using right there, and that turns the paladin completely invulnerable to absolutely everything in the game. The second thing, which you can see here, is Holy Light. Holy Light conveniently damages undead units, while at the same time it can be used to heal up friendly non-undead units. And you can see how I can take care of the level 10 Lich in a kind of cheesy manner, because he can do absolutely nothing about this. I can just run at him with my Divine Shield and Holy Light him down until he's dead. And that is actually really important, because the damage he deals is just through the roof. If I leave him alive, I have a good chance of losing my entire army in about 5 seconds. Okay, so this fight is a lot more tense than the first one. And this is where the 2 leftover potions that I have, which are health potions in fact, come in really handy. Because I don't have a choke point, the only thing I can do is hope that the AI decides to attack my paladin, which can heal up by health potions. So I set up my army in a way that it kind of draws the enemies to attacking Arthas, and then I heal him up with my potions, while at the same time using the area of effect damage of my mortars, which of course also damages my paladin. Additionally, you can see there's a spell being used by the necromancers, which gets researched after some time in the mission, and that is actually not ready in the first attack. That is Unholy Frenzy. Now, Unholy Frenzy is used on the Abominations. It's the tiny cloud that they have above their head. It makes them take additional damage, but at the same time it increases their attack rate by 100% and also lets them deal bonus damage. So they actually run complete rampage. Okay, we have done it. We have survived the attack. We have a good amount of mortars left. In fact, we have not lost any of them. And now this base also has the problem of being way more open than the first one, which means there are towers just around you, and the units come in not only from one angle but from multiple angles. But here I use my Holy Light to smite down the necromancers as fast as possible, because they can revive corpses as skeletons, and that is really annoying. There you can see I have to attack the altar, because in about 30 seconds the level 10 Lich will be revived. Oh, there he is already. That wasn't fast enough, oh no. And I'll have to use my Holy Light and all my units to take care of him as fast as possible, because as I explained earlier, the damage he deals is just insane. You can see how quickly it happens that you get overwhelmed by units respawning and by summoning a bunch of skeletons. And it's really, really important that you micro your units perfectly in this fight. Okay, so it seems we've broken through the first ring of towers, and that is usually a very good sign. The problem now is that we don't have any potions left for Arthas, and if he dies then we lose a lot of our damage and tanking capabilities. So I want to make sure not to lose him and I micro him back. While at the same time taking care of these pesky acolytes rebuilding buildings in my face. But yeah, we've done it, and we're gonna take care of the rest of the base relatively easily. And this is how you skip the auto-scroller in this game. It's a pretty amazing trick. I'm gonna speed up the end just a tiny bit, because it's just me getting rid of the rest of the buildings. And then we're gonna enter mission 6, which also has some pretty cool strategy going into it. Okay, so mission 6 is probably the most well-known from the story, because it was featured in the Caverns of Time dungeon in World of Warcraft, and is the cleansing of Stratholme. So this is really the point where the story goes really dark, and you can see how Arthas turns into this, spoiler alert, Death Knight that he's gonna become later. We're gonna go through this city of Stratholme and cleanse all the villagers from their plague. And we're going to do that in a really interesting manner, to say the least. So once again, we're supposed to build up a base and then a huge army to combat Morganus's forces, but we're gonna like do something pretty different from that. And you can see how I turn 3 of my starting villagers, peasants, into militia so that they run faster. And that has a particular reason, because I'm gonna build some buildings right into Stratholme. Okay, so right here, as soon as you start killing the first villager, triggers a cutscene, which makes Morganus spawn, which is your opposing villain in this mission, which is a Dreadlord. And he's gonna be racing you, basically, gonna take care of the villagers and turn them into undead before you're able to react to that, basically. And the really cool thing in the beginning, as you can see, is I can actually use my Divine Shield, which makes him unable to sleep me, and then steal the villagers that he frees from him, which gives my makes my count higher, and of course speeds up the mission because it's way faster than killing the buildings myself. It's also pretty mean, so that's funny. And there you can see me building a bunch of towers in Stratholme, and that is of course not to defend the population of the city, that is to kill them. Right there you can see me getting unlucky with damage rolls. So in this game, the damage you deal is actually random. You have a chance, basically the game rolls a die, and if the outcome determines the damage you deal. And sometimes with a very unlucky die, I don't have enough damage to one-shot these villagers, so I have to do a second swing. Also at this point I want to take care of Morganus and his forces, because they're going to be quite pesky if they leave them alive, and they have actually a huge army with them, which I can barely combat with my units. So really there's a strat which makes this mission even faster, and that is actually building a huge amount of footmen and dividing them into tiny groups and then microing them like crazy, like managing 3 or 4 groups of footmen at the same time. But that is really, really hard to do, and it's also not very marathon safe, because you can lose a lot of time if you make some mistakes. And the good thing about the towers is, no matter if I micro them or not, they will be shooting at the undead villagers. And also, it's a pretty cool strategy, I think. Yeah, this mission is really cool for a couple of reasons. Not only for the cool strategy that it involves, but also because you can once again save or lose a lot of time by making good or bad micro decisions. And so you can see how the villagers start sleeping. Once you free them, they're attackable, but then they start sleeping, and once they have slept for about 2 or 3 seconds, they will be turned into undead creatures, and it increases their health pool drastically, and requires a lot more swings to kill them. But in the villager form, I can one-shot them with my paladin if I'm lucky, at least. And so the way this is coded is that the sleep spell actually turns you invulnerable. That's just how Warcraft 3 has coded sleep. So for the first second or 2, you're invulnerable, and that will cancel attack commands which you issued on them. As you can see there, my tower stopped shooting for a second, and I have to issue another attack command. And that means just more actions that you have to do in order to do it optimally. So right there, you can see all my units stopped attacking, and that is because these guys got slept. And yeah, so the best players in this mission, they can actually save more than a minute by simply executing micro with multiple control groups at the same time very, very cleanly, and that is extremely amazing to watch. Another thing in this mission is, you can see on the top right, there's a timer once again. So as soon as I kill Morganus, he will respawn at some point, bringing more annoyingness to me, because he's gonna kill my villagers and my army, and he's gonna sleep me and be a general annoyance. And the funny thing is actually that this is completely RNG dependent where he respawns. He can respawn right in your towers, but he can also respawn right where your army currently is, and lose or save a lot of time depending on which kind of luck you get. And there he respawned, but I got kind of lucky with where he is, and I won't see him for the rest of the mission. So that's good. Yeah, I think it is quite obvious that you can see how difficult it is to manage different control groups at the same time. Like I have 4 different control groups right now, and I have to manage them at the same time to make this optimal. But yeah, we're nearly done. Once our towers have taken care of the houses around them, the only thing left to do is finish off the remaining villagers with Arthas, and that's why I'm gonna speed up to the end of the mission real quick. Alright, and that brings us right to mission 7, and in mission 7, this is a kind of tiny, chill and relaxed version of mission 5 with a lot less macro involved, and the execution doesn't need to be that crisp. So the first thing we're going to do here is use the first couple of units we have to kill 2 wolves, because once again in Reign of Chaos they drop a lot of gold, and that gold can be used later to build some stuff in our base. And this is the mission where we're introduced to the dwarves. Muradin in particular, which you might know from the story. So Muradin is now on our side, and he will help us. And we're gonna use Arthas actually to run straight through an undead base because, like, he gives a damn. He's gonna run through and rescue a couple more dwarves, because then we're gonna get our first tank in the speedrun, and tanks are actually units which are only able to attack buildings, but they're really good at that. And so in this mission, the goal is to get rid of a certain undead base again, and in order to do that, we're going to start producing mortar teams again, and then clear a path, build an additional workshop in our second base so that we can produce more mortar teams, and then simply run into the base and get rid of it. And similar to mission 5, there will be a Lich greeting us, which we will be killing pretty easily because now we actually have 2 hero units and we're supposed to kill him, unlike in the mission 5. And we have a couple more units like gyrocopters, and the undead have a couple more units, but that's not a big deal. So right here we're going to power build this workshop real quick and then produce 2 more mortar teams from both of them. And we want to let our mortars focus on the buildings we're supposed to kill. So in this mission, in this base, for some reason, every building that counts as a building is a building that was not a ziggurat at one point in his life. So we can actually leave all the ziggurats and towers alive for some reason. But yeah, this mission is probably a very good time for more donations and more building up explanations for the upcoming 2 final missions. Feature some more interesting strategy. We just want to keep our army alive and have mortars and tanks focus on the right buildings, and that's about it. So the last thing that I want to do before the mission ends is to transfer over my Boots of Speed from Arthas to Muradin. That has a very specific reason that you're going to see once we enter into the next mission. Right there you can see me switching it over at the last second, and that will save some time in the next mission. So the Boots of Speed actually provide you with movement speed, and movement speed is all we need in this mission. Okay, so in this mission we're supposed to kill a bunch of boats, and in order to do that you have to combat your way through a bunch of undead bases and forces, but we're not going to be bothered by that. The way you're supposed to do this in a casual way is to buy mercenaries from the mercenary camp, and we're going to do that, but only for some specific things to be more speedy. So in this mission, Muradin is going to be our hero. It's going to be a nice refreshment since all the time Arthas was it. And he is able to use Stormbolt to one-shot boats for whatever reason. And with the Boots of Speed, he runs really, really fast. And that speeds up the mission by a crazy amount. It was actually a huge discovery when that was found. And then he's gonna pass by this mercenary camp, and we're gonna buy 2 ogres, and the ogres are able to cast Bloodlust, which is a spell that boosts movement speed even more Also attack speed on a side note, but that's not what we're going to use it for. And then we have to clear a way through these trees, and the way we're going to do that is by buying two goblin sappers, blow them up near the trees. That's actually the way you're supposed to do that. And that gives our ensnared ogre magi enough time to catch up with Muradin again, so we can actually bloodlust him again, because this spell only lasts about 30 seconds. At the same time, while we're blowing up these trees, you can see that I'm currently killing some Nerubians with Arthas. And the reason why we're going to do that is they drop two items, which are going to be really helpful in the upcoming mission, which is the Claws of Attack plus 12, and also a large mana potion. And also a recent discovery made is that right after this cutscene, we pass by a goblin shop, and this goblin shop offers a nice item, which is an Amulet of Recall. And that's going to be coming in handy in about 10 seconds when Bloodlust is running out once again on Muradin. So there we go. We don't want to use it in range of the towers, but this item actually allows me to recall units back to my hero, so I can use my friendly ogres another time to boost me with movement speed, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, that's all we have to do in this mission. And just watch our friendly dwarf run through undead units, and hopefully not get perfectly surrounded by these necromancers, so that's why we run around them. And then the mission ends already, and we're facing the last mission of the game, which is going to be where Arthas finally turns evil and finds Frostmourne, so that's pretty hype. Okay, so mission 9, once again, pretty difficult to do fast and to do well in general. And once again, we're going to build a workshop, and then from this workshop, this time we're not going to build mortar teams, but in fact we're going to build steam tanks. They're way cooler because they honk. Also, this is once again a good opportunity to free up supply. I'm going to let these riflemen die and kill two wolves with them, because the wolves once again give me gold. The gold is going to be very useful in this mission. I'm going to be building a specific amount of workers, and then from here on I just have the perfect income to supply myself with constant tank production until the mission ends, hopefully. So in this mission, the first thing we got to do is find Frostmourne, which is hidden in this cave, and we have two knights and two heroes, and we have to kill this large frost guy because he's protecting the sword. Once we have it, Arthas turns insane, which we're not going to see sadly because the cutscene will be skipped, and we kill Muradin. And as a funny thing, if Muradin dies before this cutscene, the mission ends. So that he properly dies in the cutscene at the hands of Arthas. That's pretty funny. Okay, we finally did it. And this is the point where the big attack starts. So what we're going to do is group all the units together that we have in our first base. And from here on, we just never want our tanks to stop, because they're kind of slow, and we want to keep as much of our army alive as possible. On the bright side, Arthas now has Frostmourne, and Frostmourne is a really powerful relic sword, and that gives him chaos damage, and a huge amount of it too. And chaos damage actually deals full damage to any armor type, even building armor. So Arthas and the steam tanks will be our main source of damage for the buildings, because the mission ends once we have killed all of Meganis' base. And this base is very heavily fortified. But thank God Arthas is hugely powerful right now, so that's the only reason why we can attack this properly. So since this is the campaign finale, the Undead and we too now have the entire arsenal of the Reign of Chaos game of units available, so they're going to be Frostworms in this base. And they are really strong, and hopefully can take care of them properly. Also, I want to make sure to take care of the catapults, the meat wagons, because catapults are the only units that are really, really strong against steam tanks, and I want to take care of my steam tanks and keep them alive for as long as possible, because my main objective, of course, is to get rid of the buildings. So as you can see, there's a huge force attacking me right now, multiple towers shooting. So yeah, there's once again more micro and more optimization. The basic micro being, for example, taking care of wounded units by pulling them back and healing them up with Holy Light and so on. Making sure that the right units attack the right other units. So this time there's a nice refreshment. So this base is not going to feature a high-level Lich that's going to annoy me, but this time it's a Dreadlord, because this is Mal'Ganis' base. And if I do this properly, I can actually take care of Mal'Ganis with Arthas once again. So this is the point where I'm going to start moving towards him and kill him with my Divine Shield and Eski Holy Light combination. Also, the way this is set up, we kill the Haunted Gold Mine kind of near the end, and that is usually to be avoided, because the Acolytes that are not busy mining gold anymore, they will start repairing buildings. And that loses a lot of time, so I want to keep the Haunted Gold Mine alive until the very end, actually. But yeah, we're approaching the end of the game. I hope you had some fun watching this while the tanks clear the rest of the base, while making nice, sweet honking sounds. Yeah, if you have any questions, just hit me up. I guess thanks for watching, guys. That was very fun. And time will be coming up once the main quest finishes. So once there's a text box popping up in the bottom left where time is. And time. So clapper. Okay. So that was my AGDQ submission video. Thank you for watching, and see you soon, I guess.